Wonderful. We're live, Craig. So everything's looking good so far. We're the only ones in here as of now, but we're going to go ahead and give our industry a little time to catch up with us so they could join us. Let's see. I do want to make sure that our audio is on point. Yes, we're here. We're there. Wonderful. So it looks like our audio is working out and we do have some participants joining our conversation. So I do want to let anybody who's jumping on, we do have our chat feature open. So if you have any questions throughout the duration of Craig's and I conversation, feel free to jump in and we'll happily address your question. So Craig, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. I'm pretty sure you've been in this industry for how long now?
Over 30 years,
Over
unfortunately.
Well, we can't tell. That's a lot of experience at this table right now. And Fox Packaging, who are we? What do we do?
You know, I'd like to say we're leaders in the flexible packaging industry. We're one of the few. We have unique products, obviously proprietary products. I'd like to say we're the innovators in the industry when it comes to our products. And that's who we are. I mean, we're a family-owned company. We have an incredible group of employees of over 250 employees, and we have state-of-the-art converting equipment. And I'd like to say we stay on the leading edge of the industry all the time.
That's true. So I'm going to jump and share my screen for a little bit so we can give everyone a visual of who we are. So where's my share screen? Here we are, jumping over here. And I am going to enlarge this full screen. So today, Craig and I are just going to be having a casual tabletop conversation talking about packaging programs and automation pairings. So these are things that have been skyrocketing and trending and have been in severe demand in our industry. And to give you a little overview, Fox Packaging has been in business for over 50 years, offering flexible packaging solutions to our partners in the fresh produce industry. So you are also seeing a piece of equipment. And Craig, who is Fox Solutions?
Fox Solutions is an equipment company. You know, it's always been hand in hand. I think it's to service our customers to be able to provide the equipment needed to pack our equipment. And I think it goes hand in hand. By providing that service, we start from the ground and sell them the equipment to pack our bags. And that way we keep that tight relationship. We understand what their needs are. We stay with their objectives, and we give them what they need. And the feedback that they give us to improve our equipment, obviously, is only makes everybody better.
Phenomenal. And I know on the marketing end, I receive a lot of these first contacts from prospects, whether it's on the packaging or solution side. Well, how would you say, do most people start bringing in automation because of the packaging? So according to their packaging type, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of pouch bags hitting the market.
Yeah, you know, I think what's driving this more than anything is the automation is critical, and it's very interesting in the United States. We look at these statistics on employment, and everybody seems to think there's plenty of people, but when it comes down to it, it's the feasibility of those people. And so when the minimum wage goes up, all that does is drives that automation theory that much stronger. I mean, in order to stay in business, you have to automate, because those machines, you don't worry about them showing up every day. You don't worry about them running necessarily if you maintain your equipment properly. And so I think there's a lot of advantages to the automation side. Unfortunately, you know, when at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of people that are become obsolete because of this in all of our industries. It doesn't matter if you're serving hamburgers or packing fruit.
I was actually reading a nice article that was saying that when a company invests in their automation, they're actually investing in their workforce and in their longevity of the company, because they're reducing the chances of not meeting federal regulations.
Sure.
They're increasing the skill level of these employees. So perhaps we find an employee who shows all the right criteria, but we actually grow their skill set because we're introducing them to technology. So if whether they stay with the company for 2-3 years, they do have that on the resume to move forward for perhaps higher positions. And we're reducing the liability for accidents.
You can see that especially with the palletizing. You know, I remember back in the day when I first started making calls with my father. In the onion application, everything was done by hand and everything was thrown up on a pallet by hand. And subsequently, I mean, you relied on those people to fill that job, and it's extremely monotonous and it was extremely challenging. And the monotony is overwhelming. And never mind the fact that you're carrying a 50-pound bag and you get a palletizer, now it does this automatically, whether it be an RPC or whether it be in a bag, and it's repetitive and it does it day in and day out. And it actually, obviously, because some of the changes that are done in the packaging, the package is more flat, we call it a pillow pack, it palletizes better, and at the end of the day, you get a sounder pallet, a product that doesn't wobble one way or the other, that's much more, it's a better pallet, actually.
You're just getting more dependable end-of-line results with automation. So we're jumping over here to our products. Craig, you've been around and you've seen a lot of these products hit the shelf, hit the market. What's been one of our biggest movers?
You know, they're all unique.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm all about the presentation. I mean, I like the idea of the marketing side of it. A lot of times we build a bag to accommodate the machine. And a lot of times when you do that mindset, you miss both. That's the old saying, you know, kill two birds with one stone,
Mm-hmm.
and you end up missing both birds. So, you know, each one of our products is very unique in a sense. And I think so, I wouldn't want to say that one's better than the other or more popular than the other. I think that they all have their own application and they're unique in that respect.
I do want to throw out perhaps a packaging basic. So I do get questions of, you know, individuals loving our stand-up combo bag or seeing a bag where it's that polyethylene on both sides. Why is that not good for some commodities?
You have to have that respiration. You have to have the ventilation going through there. And we're even seeing that with some of the fruit. You know, we really, especially in the fruit commodity, we saw that you could get away with a combo
Mm-hmm.
in almost all the different varieties. But we've noticed in the lime application that that's not the case. Whether it emits, I'm not a scientist, but whether it emits more gases, retains, or whatever the case may be, there's more issues seems to be in the lime application in a combo concept in fruit. So that's why we've gone over to either a fresh mesh or an all mesh wicketed bag. It depends obviously on the presentation. It also depends on what type of filling equipment you have.
So I'm going to bring us roundabout to some of these sustainability questions. This Fox Combo Ultra Shield bag. I've been reading certain retailers are back and forth as to whether it is or is not recyclable, which it is recyclable. But how does that compare to the shelf life, that prevention of greening, and how are we combating food waste with this particular application?
Well, you know, obviously I'm a little biased. I mean, we're a polyethylene house, and so, you know, that's primarily what we work with. I mean, we do obviously do some polypropylene in the Lino division, but, you know, the argument can go either way. I mean, the paper concept. I mean, there's obviously there's a conversation there, and there's a conversation on the polyethylene. It seems to me like in our country, and it looks like all the retailers are getting on board, there needs to be a better stream, and we need to do a better, whether it be pre-consumable or post-consume products. We need to do a better job of recycling those products. And I actually think there's more of an advantage to go the polyethylene direction than there is to go on the paper route. I mean, back in the day, we used to burn off the byproduct of oil. It used to be burned off in the air, which was polyethylene and polypropylene, and that's not the case anymore. So do we go back to that mentality and we just burn it off and we forget about plastics? I don't think so. I want to say the opportunity, because of what we're all going through with the coronavirus, is changed things dramatically. packaging has become a very, very important part of our industry now. From the food safety aspect, people don't want to buy bulk product, and all for the right reasons. I don't know if a salad bar will come back for those reasons. So it's interesting to see the direction we've gone, and it just seems that from a feasibility standpoint, polyethylene has a lot of advantages over the paper concept.
We were actually in a sustainable packaging conversation earlier through United Fresh, and somebody brought up the point that if you remove plastics from food packaging, you are completely changing the food industry, impacting distribution, how it moves from the field to the table.
Definitely, definitely. And again, everybody's very conscious of the costs associated with that. Nobody wants to pay more for anything, and I can totally understand that. And so when you get into these different concepts, you're looking at a greater cost. Never mind the recyclability standpoint, the compostable standpoint, the biodegradable standpoint, all those issues.
I do want to throw out a statistic to support what you're saying, and I will read this off this paper. So in an annual 130.6 million tons of waste, 21.9% of that is food waste in our landfills. And then number 2 is plastics, 19.2%. And then 3 is paper and paperboard, 13.1%. And the reason I find this particular statistic released through the EPA so important is because of the perception. Everyone understands, and there's been a trend moving toward asking questions about paper packaging because it's deemed as more recyclable.
Right.
Yet just as much of it is in our landfills now in comparison to plastic. So I feel that there's a villainization of plastic going on with disregard to the benefits.
I think people aren't, I think the information provided to people isn't clear. Often you hear that people can go to a landfill 25 years from now or ago, pull out a newspaper and it's almost intact and you could read it. Now that's the same as a plastic bag too, but if you don't have just the right environment in that landfill to be biodegradable, those things will not have the reaction that you were expecting. It's not the right atmosphere. It's not the right environment. So we got to be really careful what we hear and what we believe and what we do, for sure.
And I do want to point out with the U.S. infrastructures, especially when we talk about recycling and landfilling, is landfills are actually constructed not to support biodegradability because you're lacking that oxygen, you're lacking that sunlight. So even though a innovative packaging design was implemented into the program, it's not going to find its designated end use in that landfill.
No, it's not.
Even with biodegradability.
No, it's not, because it's not the proper environment for that product to do what it's supposed to do, because all of the right things aren't in line to make it do those things. And like you said at the very beginning, those landfills weren't set up for that. That wasn't the intention. So
here you mentioned about consumers not knowing about the packaging. Why did we believe it was best to join the Sustainable Packaging Coalition so that we can be a registered converter printer to be able to print the How to Recycle logo on our packaging for customers?
Because I think the information's out there for the people to know what exactly it's based on. It's a clear-cut direction, and it's in my opinion, it's the right direction to go on the recycle route instead of some of the other concepts.
And I will throw out, I like this. Sustainable packaging should result in less packaging and less food in our landfills. And through the How to Recycle program, you are actually displaying a universal recycling language on your packaging. Because here in the city of McAllen, even though a LDPE number 4 resin identification code bag is recyclable, I cannot put it in my blue bin. And maybe there's other individuals who are throwing in that number 4 for good faith recycling practices. And in the end, we are perhaps contaminating that recycling stream. So through this label, consumers are able to understand how to treat that packaging after it's fulfilled its duty. And understanding that store drop-off, some people may find that intrusive or inconvenient, and perhaps consumers may not want to jump on that bandwagon. All we have to do, and there's a certain reason why we participate in in-store programs, is because these bags, this particular flexible packaging film, is going to be sent to a material recovery facility that has the infrastructure to handle flexible packaging recycling.
Yeah, so that way they can offer more of a post-consumer product.
Yes.
So the mix, when everybody decides what that mix is going to be, it's going to be available. It's interesting right now because that product happens to be more expensive than a virgin resin.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? Is because there's not as much out there. That'll change in time when we get better at recycling.
And I was actually reading, I'm a big fan of 7th Generation. They do rigid packaging for all those cleaning supplies. They are actually big advocates for their sustainable program, is buy post-consumer resin material packaging to support the market so that we can eventually get these prices down,
right,
so that we can make it more attainable for our customer base.
And I think that's the same concept with what's going on with the what you were talking about before, to get more of that available to those converters or to those extruders so they can make that product available to us converters.
I have actually been conducting a poll, and if any of you would like to participate, just go to our box packaging booth. We are in the Fresh Tech under packing equipment, and I'm going to share some of our findings. So out of our survey, 50% of decision makers did participate, and they are saying that from their pain points when it comes to packaging programs, 50% that say that cost is number one, then after innovative designs, and then inventories. Does that surprise you at all?
No, not at all. You know, especially now, I mean, when the trends have changed dramatically and everybody's going to packaging, there's not a customer out there that I know of that's not being strained by those facts that we're all overwhelmed by what's happened in the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And there's ways to tackle those inventories, but at the end of the day, there's different SKUs out there for different retailers. There's different SKUs for each producer. And so it creates an issue. It's not a problem, but it's certainly an issue, and it needs to be managed properly. Yeah.
So you mentioned retailers. What direction, and I'm asking this question in like retrospect, what direction do you think retailers are taking us?
You know, I think retailers now are realizing how important the recyclability is, and they're making us more aware of the products that we use,
Mm-hmm.
the raw materials that we produce and we convert, and it gives it clarity on what direction we need to go. Because at the end of the day, the retailers drive it, and they pretty much tell the producers what they want, and subsequently tells us what they want, and that's what we provide.
In that session this morning, I was asked the question, Victoria, does Fox Packaging design their packaging for retailers or for consumers? At the end of the day, it's our goal to make sure that our customer's bag stays on the store shelves.
Yes, and we provide a product that enhances that product as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Enhances it in not only its shelf life, but enhances its attractiveness to the consumers.
Yes. And I would like to throw out, again, in this poll, we have these decision makers saying that they're approaching their sustainable packaging programs, that 31.25% are looking for recyclable. Our bags, our entire product line is 100% recyclable, and we have that How to Recycle label to support that claim. Then 25% are looking for biodegradable. Can we talk about that biodegradable, compostable approach? How does that impact inventories?
Well, and that's the problem. Where is that product going to break down in the biodegradable side? And even in the compostable side, is it going to have the right environment to be able to do what it's supposed to do? And that's the concern. But I think the overall concern is the cost. And that's what's going to drive us, whatever direction we go, is based on the cost. And right now, unfortunately, those costs are very high on those raw materials.
They are. And reduction of carbon footprint. So I want to talk about that pouch bag and our product line in general, we have some materials that are extremely lightweight. That in all reduces the amount of carbon footprint and green gas emissions that we are using in production and in distribution. There's so many ways to approach sustainable packaging programs. So, and I have my notes here, but we're looking at sustainability from sometimes 14 different directions, because what is sustainable? We're still trying to find that definition right now. And I feel that a lot of pressure has been put on the flexible packaging converters, such as Fox Packaging and partners like Fox Solutions, to ensure that we are approaching it with innovative designs, materials, talking about that carbon footprint, market cost, and then the market impression of these bags, food waste, shelf life, and recyclability. So there are some programs that, or some sustainability agendas that I've seen that are trying to capture all of these. How do you think it's best to reasonably approach sustainability?
Well, it's difficult because everything has a different characteristics. And so we go in there, and if it's a different mill or if it's a different mixture of the product, those temperatures that react differently on my converting equipment. So subsequently, do I have to turn up the heat? Do I have to lower the heat? Is the mill thicker? So does it take a longer dwell time on the conversion? And then again, you go back to the automation of the equipment. Does it change the dynamics of our automation as far as on the equipment side of it? So yes, and then again, it goes back to killing that one bird with two stones, or two birds with one stone. I mean, are you going to capture all of it? I doubt it. It's going to be tough.
So, what direction is Fox Packaging going?
I just say the best direction. And right now it's there's some clarity out there. I mean, before we were the villains, like you said before, and we were always focused on the direction that we are as far as the polyethylene, whether it be, whatever the blend might be. And so we're always looking for different things, and we're always going to provide what ultimately the customer wants, and we're always going to be out there looking for new things. So it's an ever-changing target. And we just hope that we're looking at the right target all the time. And we seem to be, and that's what we strive to do.
I want to bring up the point of our American infrastructure once again. Getting back to those basics, yes, we are testing materials, and yes, we're trying to see what the best direction we should go in support of our customers and in alignment with retailers' goals. But really, the most reasonable and sustainable solution is to make flexible packaging easier to recycle, because that's us supporting our American market for post-consumer recycled materials. And we're diverting those plastics from the landfill, but also giving them a purpose. How does Fox Packaging engage with our suppliers to make sure that we have a circular economy, but a circular business model?
That's what we're working on all the time, is the availability, the quality, the certification from those suppliers to give us those products.
That's true. And I want to bring it up, it's come up a lot, is how is COVID-19 affecting our operations as suppliers?
It's been a tremendous strain on us, mentally, physically, capacity-wise. We've been put on under a lot of strain. Some of our employees at any given time, you're worried about somebody, God forbid, getting ill and having a repercussion on whatever that might be, whatever division that might be, whatever that might be. And it's been a game changer for all of us. And I like to think we've done our part as far as to fulfill the position that we are in, and that is in supply the packaging for our producers, because the producers have been under an incredible strain too. Yes. The demand has just been off the chart, and nobody was prepared for it. Yes. Subsequently, and I think people are getting to understand now that we're working with the lead times that we have. I'm just rolling in a new press right now, which I'm totally excited about. Timing couldn't be better. And so I hope to think that we'll bring our lead times down lower, which we will, and it'll give the opportunity for the producers to make it a little bit easier. on their inventories and their controls.
So you talked about bringing in some new equipment. We've actually been getting a lot of questions from prospects asking how soon can we get automation in here? So now there's a bigger demand for automation solutions. How do you think that impacts our overall? Because some customers, because of those prices, didn't want to make that investment. And now because of this shift, they're having to, because hand packing isn't cutting it.
Yeah, and for all the right reasons. I mean, the hand pack, I mean, if you look at it from a spreadsheet, conceivably you can justify that decision. But when it comes to the automation and the precise pack and all the things that go along with the automation side of it, it just makes the overall picture much more feasible at the end of the day.
So our manufacturing capabilities, how do we uniquely, and I know Fox Packaging, we are so big on our customer relationships and understanding their forecasts and trends when it comes to packaging. How do our capabilities support their production goals?
Well, I think by bringing in a new press and increasing our capacity and keeping up with the latest and greatest converting equipment. We brought in another converter actually for our Lino division for that reason, to meet the needs of our customers.
Perfect. So is there something you would like everyone to know about some of these packaging trends, maybe what we're working on?
I mean, I just want everybody to understand we're doing everything we can to supply and fulfill the commitments that we have to our customers. Everybody is important. There's nobody that's more important, less important. I think that there's some mentality right now that, people feel like, they're not getting the service that they expect. And that's far from the truth. We're all under an incredible pressure relating to the circumstances going through what we're going through right now in this country. And we're doing everything we can. And again, I can't stress to you enough that, again, the press just rolled in here. I mean, just within days ago, we're putting it together as we speak. It's going to change the dynamics of our print capacity dramatically. And so those things are very exciting. My conversion is, I have the converting equipment, but we had a hang up on some printing, and now those will be eliminated. So if anything, I can say we're just getting better. We're staying up with it. We're doing what we need to do as far as the new equipment, staying up with the latest and greatest equipment to make the best product as quickly as we can.
So we have about 3 more minutes that we're going to spend with our industry partners. If somebody is looking to innovate their packaging program or reach out just for more questions, why would you suggest that they should reach out to Fox in maybe comparison to some of our competitors?
Well, because I think we've been doing this for so long, and we have, one of the things, and I've got a son that works for me, I'm blessed to say, and one of the things that I told Jacob early on is when you don't have anything to add to the conversation, you can't give any insight to the industry. You need to sit and listen to what's going on. And when you have something to offer, that's when people are going to come to you and ask you the different things, the different demands from them. And I think we have that reputation to be able to supply those demands and give our customers what they need when they need it. And we've had that reputation for coming through and being on the cutting edge of all the newest, whether it be the raw materials, whether it be a new type style of bag, or whether it be whatever it might be. I hope to think that we have that reputation of being on top of it.
So I will go ahead and end this. Let everyone know that if you have any questions for Craig or myself or anyone here at the Fox Packaging or Fox Solutions end, please email info@foxbag, so foxbag.com. Again, visit our booth, send us your V card. We are happy to engage with you and continue this industry conversation of packaging programs and supporting automation pairings. Thank you again and have a wonderful rest of your United Fresh virtual experience.